Hi everyone, welcome to Seniega TV with me, Rich Gibbons.
And myself, Stephen Old. Just changing my glasses to my less reflecty ones. People don't
Always
realise
good.
the lengths we go to.
And today we are talking, we've got some breaking news in the FinOps space. So less than 24 hours after it happened, we are here to talk about the fact that Flexera have acquired the Spot by NetApp FinOps business. So quite a mouthful for
just trying to work out how to write that sentence was harder than probably this whole segment's going to be. Probably worth just starting with a bit of the history of both of those parts of the world, right? So NetApp acquired Spot.io, which was a fantastic spot fleet management tool. Talking about it 9 years ago. I lose track. It's all been going on for so long now. But I knew it from back in my pre FinOps days, right? It's kind of that old. They also acquired a tool called Cloud Checker, who was one of the early big competitors to Cloud Health, Cloudability, etc. I had customers use it. I quite liked it. I was kind of Cloud Health and Cloud Checker, which were the main two ones I used, had their pros and cons. Same with Cloudability, they all had some slightly different bits. And over time, they then built a wider portfolio. We can talk about that in a minute because we'll talk about what they acquired. Flexera, on the other hand, they acquired, they are their ITAM space, right? They acquired things like RightScale.
Yep.
Is it them that the company that own it have also acquired USU?
So Tom, the private equity, Thoma Bravo. So that's all a little bit because
they keep them separate, don't they? Generally, that's how they run.
I think they own Flexera, but they have invested in USU. It seems to be slightly different.
Flexera and Snow was the big. It was just that the USU thing was more recent, wasn't it? So Snow in the FinOps space, where they had Snow cloud cost management, which was actually Anadot under the hood.
Right, because I think Snow Biobotics.
Yes,
and they partnered with Anadot. Is that?
Yeah, that's right. And Anadot was the tool that Anadot have for the cloud cost was actually Pilius Cloud. So they acquired Pilius, which is where Ronnie was. Ronnie now runs with AI. So David and team at Anadot did that. They did a lot of drive. I spoke to them a lot in my previous roles. Very good tool. Spot then put that under. I knew people at Spot, so I actually ended up acquiring it through Spot, I think, in my previous place. And then Spot going to Flexera. Flexera bought RightScale and bought OneCloud. Am I getting the right name for their tooling portfolio? Probably not. It's in my head somewhere. It's
Flexera One.
Flexera One. That's sorry, OneCloud. One of my old products. So already then we can see. And we've talked about how many tools are out on the market, like 130 something or whatever. And there's more than that, actually. I found a load more. Let's not even go into that pain. I found out the other week. And they've already got history of going and hoovering some stuff up. We and you were talking earlier that NetApp even going in this space was quite an interesting one. But in the same way that VMware buying Cloud Health was quite an interesting one, I always thought.
True.
Back in the day. So it went back. It didn't seem that odd back then because that's what people were doing. But now possibly does make sense in the same way that kind of VMware have gone to Broadcom separating that out into the Tanzu and all of that. We're now seeing NetApp kind of decide that this part of the business, the Spot bit, which then covers a bunch of products, going to Flexera. In terms of Flexera, kind of they cover the Cloud Checker piece already, but almost all of the other bits and bobs they're buying are, from what I can see, pretty much net new to their services. So
I think so. And on the ITAM side, over the last few years, there's been a lot of interest in containers and licensing put within containers. What if someone puts some Oracle or some SQL in it? How do I see it? How do I track it, etc., etc.? And Flexera,
you have to license the whole node, though, wouldn't you? So it becomes a little bit pointless in itself. But yeah.
Well, yeah. So it's one of those things. What we found with containers, it's quite easy. You put a bit of Oracle or whatever in there. You can move it around easily. You can start it quickly, etc. So from an engineering or a development perspective, it works.
Yeah.
From a licensing perspective, it's an absolute
nightmare. And
yeah.
cloud's hard enough, right? Because we've lost the fact that people generally don't put in, agents and stuff. So visibility in cloud is already challenging in the ITAM world.
Yeah, so I think adding Spot and containers and things into what Flexera have already been doing, I think that's probably, it shows that that's a focus area for the converged, ITAM FinOps piece.
It'll be interesting to see whether we see more incorporation here, because generally Snow and Flexera have remained relatively separate because while they are in the same space, their tools targeting different market generally, aren't they? But the Flexera one platform, the cloud cost management piece of that, really, it would make a lot of sense to bring as much of, maybe not the cloud check. I mean, it's up to them what they do with the cloud check. There might be some useful pieces in there, and that also probably covers the cost intelligence bit, which I think has just been broken out of what was cloud checker and the cloud billing piece, which I actually do think is a little bit of a gap. It's certainly for like the partner piece. I think Flexera want to be really working out how they handle the partner bit. Cloud checker was very good at you being a reseller and being able to use that to create your billing.
Right.
So that also probably makes a bit of sense as to why they've done it. I think Flexera are working on that, but sometimes buy versus build, right? But Eco, regardless of what you think about it, I've done a lot in the RI space. It's possibly my least favorite of the tools in the market, although some very good people there, I'll say that. But I just think other people have done it in a more sophisticated way. But the Spot itself, so the fleet manager, which is now called, forgive me because it's Elastigroup, is it? Elastigroup. Fantastic. Yes, other things have come out and can kind of do it now, but still, it was the first. It's still very good, and as part of the suite, I think it makes sense. Ocean, which is your container management and piece, which is doing your right sizing, node management, your automation, all this kind of stuff. Pod management, I think, as well, and then your visibility bit, massive massive plus point as well. And which one have I forgotten? There's always something. I talked about Eco. I think that's the main three. I think that's a good, because then it's the things from Cloud Checker. So they really are adding quite a few bits they're not currently doing. I don't think it aids. I know one of the things they're looking at is how to do more in the green ops and sustainability space. I don't think there's anything in that portfolio that helps them there, but otherwise it's ticked a lot of the boxes.
Yeah, it really has. I remember talking to Cloud Checker and Spot 4, 5, 6 years ago and being quite impressed, from an ITAM perspective. Right. So it makes a lot of sense, and I think the people at Flexera, they've got some fantastic people. They added a bunch of fantastic people when they acquired Snow.
Yeah,
and I assume the acquisition of Spot means that some of the people are coming across, not just the technologies. So again, that's adding more, great people.
It's terrible because I forget his name, but I was on a panel at an event with someone from NetApp Spot, and he was absolutely brilliant. Really knew his stuff. And also just a very nice guy.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you were there.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either. Right. Apologies.
Such apologies. I want to say Rob, but I just think I met someone else called Rob that day, and I'm just getting them mixed up. But I was, when someone really impressive, you kind of lose the impression. Obviously, not enough names. I am terrible with names, everyone, anyway, so that's not an indictment on this person. But I've also come across some really good sellers there. There's a guy called, hang on, I want to call him Greg, but that was his surname. Greg was like his surname. But no, he was fantastic. John Gregory, former Brighton footballer. But anyway, so I've come across some really good people there. So and we've got some friends, people like Rich and Jay and stuff at Snow, got to Flexera, and then people who know Flexera. So actually, it's quite. I generally think business are people based. I've generally enjoyed the people in all those three businesses. So fingers crossed that they can enjoy working together as well.
Yeah, and then there's always what does it mean for customers? Existing customers, potential customers, etc. And consolidation and acquisition is always a tricky one, and it's similar like when Flexera bought Snow. Like on one hand, there's a little bit less choice in the market, when acquisitions occur. But that isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes, certainly,
I don't think they were very often competing.
No, and I think 130 plus tools. Sometimes that's too many.
We need some consolidation. Like, one of the biggest problems we hear people have in the market is like, where do I look? There's so much stuff, and having bigger, better suites. It'll be interesting to see how much they do integrate, because if you look at IBM, and Terminomics does a number of things, but like the FinOps parts of Terminomics haven't really been incorporated into cloudability. I can imagine kube cost stuff going into cloudability is going to happen quicker comparatively, because I think it's a better and quicker fit. These are already really a bunch of standalone tools that sit in one portal that you can attach. So I think you could bring that into the Flexera One platform pretty quickly. Probably quicker than we've seen in other parts of the market.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. They're quite modular, as
exactly.
they stand. So yes, I mean, I think it's, it makes a lot of sense. I think for NetApp, like you said, it enables them to maybe concentrate more in the kind of hybrid storage cloud piece.
They probably, with all the Broadcom VMware stuff, they probably see a bit of a space to attack in that as well, right? It's a very all over the place market at the moment.
Yeah, and then Flexera, like we said, fills a lot of gaps, adds a lot of functionality. It makes a lot of sense, so I think any existing customers of Spot, I would imagine that it will be positive for them. Existing customers of Flexera, if I suppose it depends whether you get these extra things bundled, whether you want them or not, or whether you're able to kind of pick and choose. But that will come out in the wash.
But what have Flexera done in the past? I think
Flexera One is pretty modular, so you can have the whole thing, or you can have the SaaS bit or just bit. So I would expect it to be, if you've got containers, you can get the container bit. If you've got this, you can get that. If you don't want it, I would imagine you'll have some choice. And I think for the market, Cube cost being acquired, Spot being acquired, it kind of gives an idea of where people are looking, what's interesting at the moment, and it's I think it's exciting for the market, and the consolidation in one space usually means that there's a proliferation or an expansion in another part of the market. So I think we'll see what comes in other parts of the FinOps tool space.
I think we're going to see some real consolidation this year and next year. Some of the things that would make sense for people to acquire, they're probably a year too young at the moment. They're too new, and people want to run them for another year to earn more money. Because the people have still got investment. But I think we're going to see a lot more of this. But yeah, I think it's exciting news. It does, more I think about it, it makes a lot of sense with the partner story as well for Flexera. And it always felt like a kind of side piece of NetApp anyway. So I think for them, it probably removes the distraction.
Yeah. So I think all in all, we're both pretty positive about it. But of course, anyone who is a customer of either one, got any thoughts, questions, etc., get in touch, and be great to talk to you.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much, Rich, and thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you.